Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News. We start today's bulletin with sad news that Gerik MP Hasbullah Osman has passed away. Bernama reported that the Umno lawmaker died of a heart attack in Raub, Pahang this evening. Perak Umno chief Saarani Mohamad also confirmed the news. Just last week, Hasbullah was chosen as one of the Perikatan National Government's representatives on the Public Accounts Committee. Back in May, he was appointed chairperson of the government-linked company Syarikat Perumahan Negara Berhad. In our next story, Shafi Abdal today was blamed by government MPs in Parliament that he may have been the reason why COVID-19 cases in Sabah saw a huge spike. How did he respond? Let's take a look. BN lawmakers today rebuked former Sabah Chief Minister Shafi Abdal in Parliament for risking the lives of Malaysians by deciding to dissolve the Sabah State Assembly, which set the stage for the state election.
Punca COVID di Sabah itu yang paling teruk katanya punca daripada kempen PRN Sabah pertama. Yang keduanya daripada PTI, pendatang tanpa izin. Saya cukup bersimpati kepada Yang Bernama Sempurna dan seluruh rakyat negeri Sabah sebenarnya. Kerana ramai yang telah terkorban, yang meninggal dunia. Bahkan ada saudara mara Yang Berhormat Sempurna sendiri pun telah kembali ke rahmatullah. Saya cukup bersimpati. Jadi adakah Yang Berhormat, ada tak? Adakah ada rasa penyesalan Yang Berhormat sebagai Ketua Menteri waktu itu kerana meminta dan menasihati TYT untuk membubarkan Dewan Undangan Negeri? Terima kasih.
In his response, Shafi said if the PN government had not interfered, Sabah would have remained one of the safest states with the most number of green zones. He also defended his decision to dissolve the State Assembly as he would rather die than hand power over to parties who had at the time allegedly attempted to buy over Sabah state lawmakers.
Nak serah kuasa, baik saya mati dalam gelanggang politik. Bukan mati oleh kena COVID. Mati dalam gelanggang politik, kena kita serahkan dengan rakyat. Kalau rakyat menentukan siapa berkuasa, keadaan ini kita kena terima.
The Sempurna MP said this in his Budget 2021 debate in Parliament today. He said the budget should be inclusive of all races, as it's a national budget and should not focus on just one race or religion.
Yang penting bagi kita bukan hanya kerajaan sendiri. Pihak swasta perlu dilibatkan. Kerana mereka ini merupakan golongan yang besar, majikan yang besar. Dan kita ini nak membina sebuah negara. Bukan membina bangsa, bukan membina satu agama. Kita membina berbagai bangsa untuk maju ke depan.
The Klang Valley now appears to be the epicenter of the nation's COVID-19 outbreak, accounting for almost 50% of new cases reported today. Here's the country's latest situation. Malaysia today reported 1,103 new COVID-19 cases, with 49.3% of the new cases being detected in the Klang Valley region. Kuala Lumpur alone reported 392 new cases, with Selangor reporting 150 cases. The Klang Valley is followed by Sabah, which reported 288 new cases. This brings the number of active cases in the country up to 12,601. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry also reported 4 new deaths attributed to COVID-19, all in Sabah. In Kuala Lumpur, the Tapak Bina Dalam Lelah cluster linked to a construction site in the city saw the largest number of new cases, with 385. This cluster has 1,132 cases to date. The sudden spike in the new cases in Perak was due to the Tembok cluster, with 111 new cases, which originated from the Alostar prison in Kedah. The number of new cases attributed to the Hentian cluster, which has spread across the Klang Valley, originated from the Kajang bus station, had increased by 83.
We are taking all the public health measures to contain and to curb the spread of the infection. More importantly, we do know the option of MCO or CMCO. Why? Because we need to strike the right balance between health and economy, strike the right balance between life and livelihood. So the only best justification for this and strike this balance is adopt the CMCO. Because if we were to implement the CMCO, the cost of the impact of the economy is very high. So that's the reason why we opted for CMCO, but we need to balance it out. But more importantly is the collaboration and of the onus of each individual if they can comply to the SOP, particularly the social sectors. Economic sectors, we know that because we want to allow the economic sector to continue to function, and but the social sector we can control. So if the public can control and help the Ministry of Health to break the chain of infection. If possible, stay at home.
2 hostel blocks for workers in Klang have been placed under the latest EMCO. A dormitory in Klang used to house workers of rubber glove manufacturer Top Glove has become the latest location to be placed under the Enhanced Movement Control Order. The announcement was made by Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob in a press conference this evening.
Pelaksanaan PKPD ini membabitkan kawasan asrama lelaki serta Jalan Abadi 1A Pahang KU8 dan asrama pekerja wanita serta Jalan Abadi 1A dan Jalan Abadi 10A Pahang KU8. Mana ini dia, termasuk jalan sekali ya. Yang melibatkan seramai 13,190 pekerja dan hampir 1,200 penduduk. Jadi di asrama lelaki, asrama perempuan dan juga jalan yang saya sebutkan tadi.
However, Top Glove, which can continue to operate during the enhanced MCO period, must carry out COVID-19 screening of its remaining workers and other dormitories that were not infected by the lockdown, according to the minister. The enhanced MCO will be imposed starting tomorrow, November 17th to November 30th. Top Glove share price closed 7.07% lower today as news spread about its workers being quarantined. At closing, Top Glove last traded at 7 ringgit and 20 sen, down 58 sen, reaching levels not seen since early September. Top Glove has been the darling of stock investors this year, rising 364.5% year to date as global demand for rubber gloves soared due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is thus ironic that some of Top Glove's worker dormitories have been identified to be part of a COVID-19 cluster designated as teratai by the Health Ministry. Malaysia is doing all it can to secure COVID-19 vaccines as soon as they are available. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Kari Jamaluddin told Parliament today that the government has reached out to 10 COVID-19 vaccine producers. This comes following a notification from the World Health Organization that there are now 11 COVID-19 vaccine candidates that are in Phase 3 clinical trials.
Sehingga kini kerajaan telah berkomunikasi dengan 10 pengeluar vaksin tersebut. 8 pengeluar telah dihubung secara terus dan 2 lagi melalui fasiliti COVAX. Terdapat beberapa rundingan yang berada di fasa akhir dan pengumuman rasmi akan dibuat apabila ianya telah dimeterai tidak lama lagi. Rundingan tersebut meliputi aspek kerjasama dalam pelbagai peringkat, termasuk pembangunan vaksin, R&D, pertukaran saintis, pembangunan fill and finish, pemindahan teknologi logistik cold chain, termasuk pembelian vaksin, finished product sebagai jaminan akses bekalan vaksin untuk negara.
Kari said this in response to a question by Kota Kinabalu MP Chan Fung Hin on whether the ministry had made any order to import vaccines. Kari said by participating in COVAX, Malaysia would have access to a supply of COVID-19 vaccines for 10% of the population, and the government was working to get another 60% to meet the national immunization target for herd immunity of up to 70% of the country's population. Meanwhile, on the list of immunization priorities, Kari said the Special Committee on COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access, set up on October 14th, had agreed on 3 groups. The first group will be frontliners, Health Ministry staff, the police, Malaysian Armed Forces, Immigration Department and others. The second will be for high-risk groups, such as individuals with existing health conditions and senior citizens. The third group will involve the adult population. Details on the groups are still being fine-tuned. An announcement is expected to be made during the first quarter of next year. Mazli Malik has reiterated that the government's policy on education will determine how he votes on Budget 2021. Former Education Minister Mazli Malik told Parliament today that the Perikatan Nasional's Budget 2021 can only be supported if the government manages to address all of its concerns on education.
Kita semua maklum belanjawan 2021 ini dipamerkan sebagai belanjawan untuk memerangi COVID-19 yang perlu disokong oleh semua pihak. Tetapi dalam konteks pendidikan, tiada langkah luar biasa yang dibentangkan untuk membantu murid, guru, siswa dan para pesyarah. Tiada peruntukan khas kepada murid dan guru terutamanya untuk membantu PDP, proses pengajaran dan pembelajaran dalam talian. Tiada pelan jangka masa panjang untuk memastikan semua anak-anak tidak keciciran dalam masa-masa yang mencabar ini. Oleh yang demikian, belanjawan ini hanya boleh disokong jika kesemua keresahan ini diambil kira.
He expressed concern on educators, students and parents coping in a difficult situation where they have to deal with 11th-hour decisions of the ministers. Meanwhile, Mazli also said the decision to close schools as part of COVID-19 prevention measures should be left in the hands of district education departments. While debating the supply bill, the independent MP said this was opposed to the current blanket closure enforced by Putrajaya. Coming up next, one of the world's most popular billionaires may have COVID-19. Elon Musk tweeted on Saturday that he most likely has a moderate case of COVID-19. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said on Saturday he most likely has a moderate case of COVID-19, though he continued to question the accuracy of the tests. In a tweet he wrote that he was, quote, getting widely different results from different labs, but added his symptoms are that of a minor cold, which is no surprise since the coronavirus is a type of cold. He did not mention whether the results were from polymerase chain reaction tests, which are more accurate than rapid tests. Last week, Musk said the rapid antigen test results from the same machine and the same test returned 2 negative and then 2 positive results, all on the same day. Musk's presence at the launch of 4 NASA astronauts into orbit aboard his SpaceX company spacecraft had been thrown into question due to COVID-19. The launch was pushed back from Saturday to Sunday due to the unfavorable weather, according to NASA officials. China has finally congratulated US President-elect Joe Biden. Nearly a week after President-elect Joe Biden clinched the presidency over Donald Trump, China congratulated the former vice president on the win. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin had this to say.
We have been following the reaction to the U.S. presidential election of both the United States and the international community. We respect the choice of the American people. We extend congratulations to Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris. Meanwhile, we understand the results of the U.S. election will be determined according to U.S. laws and procedures.
Trump's refusal to accept defeat has put Beijing in an awkward position, with China unwilling to do anything to antagonize Trump, who has mounted court challenges to the balloting and remains in office until the January 20th inauguration. Relations between China and the US are at their worst in decades over disputes ranging from technology and trade to Hong Kong and the coronavirus, and the Trump administration has unleashed a barrage of sanctions against Beijing. Shortly after Biden's win, numerous US allies offered congratulations, while the leaders of China and Russia were among noticeable holdouts. In 2016, Chinese President Xi Jinping sent congratulations to Trump on November 9th, a day after the election. And that is all for me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. We'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Professor Michael. Thank you for watching.